morning, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for attending from renters' rights to homeowner dreams, our webinar that is brought to you by Dime Community Bank. Dime strives to be a robust community-focused bank. Why does that matter? Because community banks offer something very special to the local economy and the character of the neighborhoods they serve. They aren't small, they're local. This means that the money that circulates through banks like Dime stays local, having a powerful effect on the community. They don't just talk about community involvement, they live it. We are incredibly thankful for them and look forward to gaining some valuable insight tonight. My name is Kendra Dunstan, and I'm the Development and External Affairs Coordinator here at Build Up Justice NYC. So if you've been with us before, so our flyer to this event, you might notice something a little different. Brooklyn Legal Services Corporation A, or Brooklyn A, is now Build Up Justice NYC as of yesterday. Although we have the different name, we are still the same. We just launched our new brand, and it better captions our mission and vision. Our mission is consistent. Build Up Justice believes that all New Yorkers deserve equal access to legal services to seek justice, make their voices heard, and overcome systemic racism and oppression. We were established in 1968 as part of the War on Poverty, where we believe attorneys have a critical role to play in combating poverty, inequity, and racism. While we were originally founded to serve Brooklyn neighborhoods, hence the old name, we provide free civil legal services to New Yorkers citywide in all 5 boroughs. Our civil legal services, organizing efforts, and educational resources assist our clients and their communities in defending and mobilizing against harassment, displacement, and gentrification, and asserting their rights. This event is brought to you by our Preserving Affordable Housing program in Queens, which just celebrated its 1-year anniversary. Through this initiative, our Queens Housing team uses legal and advocacy strategies to protect and preserve affordable housing, prevent evictions, combat tenant harassment and discrimination, and promote housing stability for working families and older adults and other vulnerable residents. Our goal is to ensure that all Queens residents can live with dignity in safe and affordable homes and to curb the ongoing loss of affordable housing in the borough. We also have 2 other practice areas that you can see on the screen. And the first one is our Consumer and Economic Advocacy Program, or CEA. In this program, we help resolve tax issues, deed theft, predatory lending, foreclosure prevention. We actually have a new addition, our Wills and Estates. And also under this program, we have a domestic violence unit that offers assistance with orders of protection, child custody and support, and much more. And then we have the Community Economic Development Program, or CED, that assists small business owners with commercial lease matters. They help and provide advice on laws and options, negotiate rent and arrears for businesses. They combat commercial tenant harassment and assist nonprofit and corporation and startup services. I would like to thank our sponsors of this event. First up, I would like to thank New York City Council member Dr. Natasha Williams, who represents District 27 in Southeast Queens, which includes the communities of Jamaica, Cambria Heights, and St. Albans. A lifelong advocate for equity, economic justice, and community empowerment, she has been a powerful voice for her district and all New Yorkers. Dr. Williams continues to be a leader in shaping policies that safeguard vulnerable communities, expand opportunity, and ensure fairness for all New Yorkers. Tonight, we have Joanne Madeir, Director of Communication and Events, who would like to share remarks on behalf of the council member. Joanne, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Kendra, so much. Again, my name is Joanne Madeir, Director of Community and Events for Councilmember Dr. Natasha Williams, and really just happy to be here. Dr. Williams really does believe in advocacy and small communities. Our community has a really unique position. We represent a large number of homeowners, probably the largest in the city. We have a really large constituency of homeowners, and some of those homeowners are landlords. So we do hear a lot about renters and renters issues. So we get both sides of the story. Really, again, just happy to be here, happy to represent the office, always willing to help with issues that come up for renters, as well as homeowners. And of course, happy to partner with Build Up Justice. I was going to say Brooklyn A, right? So Build Up Justice. Great partners. We recently worked with Build Up Justice on a legislation that was passed for deed theft. So again, happy to partner, looking forward to other things that we can do, and happy to partner with, of course, Assembly Member Lorinda Hooks and Dime Bank. Of course, you said something earlier about community and keeping things, the economics in the community, which is something really important and something that we as an office here in the 27th district are always pushing forward. So this big step in terms of home ownership, lots of information in terms of renters and renters' rights. And the first step is being here. So I want to thank you all for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joanne. We are so thankful and I appreciate your continued support. Please send the Councilwoman my regards and many thanks for continued support. Now Build Up Justice NYC and for her work to protect all New Yorkers.
Will do. We're looking forward to many more partnerships.
Thank you. We are also honored to partner with Assemblywoman Lorinda Hooks, a lifelong community. And I think I'm frozen, but can you hear me is the question. Okay, great. Sorry about that. Little technical difficulties. We are honored to partner with Assemblywoman Lorinda Hooks. She is a lifelong community advocate and newly elected representative for District 35. From Corona to East Elmhurst, her tireless work to uplift families, expand economic opportunity, and fight for equity has made her a trusted leader and champion for her constituents. Assemblymember Hooks brings deep grassroots experience, a passion for service, and a commitment to delivering real change for working families. We look forward to working alongside her to bring vital legal resources and support to the community she so powerfully represents. Assemblymember Hooks, are you with us tonight? Okay, we have some members from her team on this evening. If you would like to make remarks on behalf of Assemblymember.
Hey, good afternoon. Good evening, everyone. My name is Fernando Meza. I am Chief of Staff to the Assemblywoman. And the member would be getting on a little later, but I'll give some remarks on her behalf in the interim. And um, and so we're really proud to be a part of tonight's event, from the renters' rights to homeowner dreams. That's hosted by our partners at Build Up Justice New York, and congratulations to Build Up Justice New York, New York NYC, and we're very excited to be a part of this evening's event, um, because this work with regards to educating and empowering renters is really essential, whether it's pushing back on harassment, demanding fair treatment, or planning for long-term stability for home ownership. We know that informing tenants is very powerful. And so the assembly member is very deeply committed to housing justice, and will be joining shortly to share a few words. In the meantime, thank you again for being here and for being part of a movement that's about dignity, respect, and opportunity for every New Yorker.
Thank you so much, Fernando. Well, Tiffany Fimiano is Build Up Justice, NYC's Preserving Affordable Housing Queens Program Director. She's an experienced litigator who has represented hundreds of tenants across 4 boroughs. Tiffany has engaged in affirmative litigation and eviction defense on behalf of tenants and administrative agencies, as well as in civil, housing, and Supreme Courts, and has extensive experience advocating for the rights of all. Tiffany graduated from the State University of New York at Buffalo and Terrell College and the Jacob D. Fishberg Law Center. Tiffany, thank you so much. The work you do is so invaluable to Build Up Justice and all of our Queens neighbors. You've came in and been on fire in Queens, and we truly appreciate the work that you do. Um, with that is just about to get started on how to take action on poor living conditions. Before I do want to let you know that we will have a Q&A at the end of the program. This first part will be presented by Build Up Justice NYC. And then our next part, I will introduce Dime Community Bank, who will give you strategies on how it's actually possible to become a homeowner, and some real tangible, real world information to show you how easy and attainable it is. And maybe easy might be not the best of words, but it is definitely
I was
attainable.
thinking that.
Because you'll give you some real practical
Okay.
information that you can use. There will be a Q&A, and in that part of the session, you'll be able to either type your questions in the chat box, or you can raise your hand, use the hand raise feature, and I will unmute you, and you'll be able to ask your questions directly to the experts here tonight. So with that, I will turn it over to Tiffany.
Wow. Thank you so much for that intro. That was very kind. I'm really, you came in as I was saying how excited I am to be here, and talking about conditions and getting repairs in a tenant's apartment is one of the things that I'm most passionate about as a tenant's attorney. It's actually how I got my start as a tenant's attorney, and it's something I believe deeply in. I know that for many of you who are renting or have friends and family who are renting, you probably have conditions in your apartment that need to be repaired. And while that's outside of your control in some ways, you are not powerless. There are many things that you can do in order to take back the power that you have as a renter, because you deserve to live in a safe, habitable apartment where you can thrive and work toward your homeownership dreams. So with that, I'm going to give you some advice, information, pointers about what you can do. And I hope that you spread it among your community members and share it with everyone in your network so that you're able to empower one another. The first thing is notice the conditions that exist in your apartment. And if you've lived somewhere for a while, you can start to overlook some of the things that need to be fixed in your apartment. Maybe you write it off and you're like, oh, that's just that old sink, or that's just that old thing, or that's always been like that. Or maybe you make a joke about how the landlord hasn't painted my apartment in 10 years. It's not funny. These are conditions in your apartment that you're entitled to have repaired by your landlord. So really start to take a look. And when I'm exploring with a tenant whether and what conditions need to be repaired in their apartment, I really start my investigation from the moment I walk up to the building. I'm taking note of all of the common areas. It could be sidewalks or stairways or vestibules, any common area that I have to pass through in order to get to my client's apartment. I'm looking and I'm seeing, is there a functioning mailbox? Does the intercom work? Is the door just jammed open? Does it actually fully close? Are the hallways properly lit? So don't just think that this applies only to your apartment. This applies to all of the common areas in the building that you live in, including even the outdoor areas too. So go through your building and your apartment and take note of what conditions exist. Even if it's a seasonal condition, like some people don't receive adequate heat in the wintertime, or they may experience scalding hot water. That doesn't happen all the time, but it happens sometimes. When you start to notice these conditions, you want to start to document them. Include the date. Be descriptive about the condition that you're noticing. And once you have a list that accurately captures all of the conditions in your apartment that need to be repaired, put your landlord on notice. This is a really fundamental part of securing repairs in your apartment. So you have to notify your landlord. The lawyer in me feels that it's best to put the notification in writing. So I prefer email or having a conversation, phone conversation, in-person conversation, but following up in writing so that you have something tangible that you can point to that confirms that on whatever date you told your landlord about all of the conditions that needed to be made. So once you put your landlord on notice, The next logical step is that your landlord will want to come in and make those repairs. Now, that's not always the way things happen, but ideally that would be what happened. So you would tell your landlord that you have conditions in your apartment that need to be fixed. You'll give your landlord the list of those conditions, and you'll arrange access dates for your landlord to inspect your apartment and repair your conditions as required by law. And typically, what that access looks like, depending on the severity of the conditions, is that you'll provide 3 consecutive days for your landlord or their contractors to come into your apartment and make the repairs. They can make repairs in your apartment from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and they should arrive by noon. Sometimes landlords get a little tricky with access dates. So if you arrange for access dates, confirm in writing if you can. And if they don't come on the day that you agreed or by the time that you agreed, make a note of that. Follow up in writing. You are building your record in case you have to sue your landlord to get repairs completed in your apartment. Do not sign anything. Your landlord might hire a contractor to come make some repairs in your apartment. And that contractor may come, do a little something. Maybe they totally complete the repair and it's perfect. Or maybe it looks like it's repaired, but you can't really know until you start using the thing or living your life. Or maybe it's obvious at the outset that they didn't really do much at all. Either way, they're probably going to ask you to sign a little something. They might call it a work slip or a receipt or whatever word they're wanting to use. Do not sign it. Just say, I'm sorry, I can't sign anything. Thanks so much for the work, though. And make a note that they asked you to sign. If they're particularly aggressive about you signing it, ask them to leave your home after the work is completed and make a note of what happened. If your landlord brushes off your requests for repairs, which sadly is a common thing to happen in New York City and really I think everywhere, you're not without recourse. So if you put your landlord on notice of the conditions that need to be repaired in your apartment and they blow you off, they don't respond to your phone call, your text message, your email, your written letter, your whatever attempt that you made to contact them, escalate it. Call 311. The operators on 311 are generally very helpful. And so you can just have a casual conversation with them and tell them that you live in an apartment and there are lots of conditions that need to be repaired, or there are some conditions that need to be repaired, whatever you're experiencing, and that you'd like to make a complaint to HPD. They will know exactly what you are talking about and they will reroute you to HPD. When you get on the phone with HPD, there will be an operator ready to take your complaint and begin the process to arrange for an inspection by an HPD inspector. So this conversation is really important. When you talk to the HPD operator, you want to be specific. You want to tell them every single condition that you want the HPD inspector to look at. And you'll have had that list from, a couple slides back when you're going and basically inspecting your own building and apartment. And this is an important step because the HPD operator is taking notes, identifying the conditions, and the inspector shows up to your apartment with a list of conditions that they're meant to inspect. And just like everything, not all HPD inspectors are the same. Some inspectors will look at anything that you want to show them. And you can be like, oh my gosh, look at this thing, look at that thing. But others will be like, no, I'm here to look at this list of things. That's all that I'm going to look at. And if you have other conditions that need to be repaired, you need to make a new complaint. So that can be a very frustrating experience to have if you've got the person right there in your apartment and they're literally not willing to look at something that needs to be fixed. So in that conversation with the HPD operator, tell them all of the conditions. They may give you some information about when, like day of the week and time of the day, the HPD inspector will come, but usually that's a large window. It's kind of like when you need your your Wi-Fi repaired, or like in the old days when you needed your cable repaired, they would give you a huge window. It's not too dissimilar with HPD. So you really want to make sure that you can be available for that entire window of time. And if and when someone from HPD comes knocking on your door, verify that it's them. Don't just go letting any person who knocks on your door into your apartment thinking automatically that this must be HPD. Ask them to introduce themselves. Ask to see their ID or their badge. They carry a little something. Someone who works for HPD and is showing up to your apartment to inspect conditions will have no problem providing you with identification and demonstrating that they are who they say they are. And after they do the inspection, they'll probably be taking some notes. They usually have a notepad and some other things. And generally, they give the instruction that to the extent that there are any violations issued as a result of this inspection, they will be on the HPD website. So you can check the HPD website. I don't have an exact time frame, but I would say give it like 5 days to a week for those violations to show up. And meantime, as soon as those violations show up on the HPD website, your landlord is receiving paper copies of those HPD violations, formally notifying them that they have to fix these conditions. And by the way, if HPD writes a written violation for any conditions in your apartment, that can start the notification clock ticking. So that serves as notice to your landlord that things need to be repaired. But sometimes landlords receive the violations and they don't care at all. So if that's the case, you're going to have to follow up with your landlord and keep records of your attempts to get your landlord to fix the conditions that are HPD violations. And if your landlord does fix the conditions, they're going to certify that they've fixed the conditions, and you will be sent something in the mail saying, yes, the condition is fixed, or no, it's not. A lot of times, tenants receive these forms and they're very confused by them and they just ignore them. If you don't respond to it by a certain time, then you might actually be consenting to the condition being certified as fixed. So make sure if something is not fixed, to check that box that it wasn't fixed and let HPD know that this is a false certification. Landlords are prohibited from falsely certifying conditions. So it's super important that you send that back to HPD so that they know. If they don't make the repairs at all, then you may have to escalate more. And the next escalation is to start an HP proceeding against your landlord in housing court. This is a case where you as the tenant sue the landlord to make them complete repairs in your apartment. There's a whole statutory framework that allows for this. It's called the Housing Maintenance Code. And the Housing Maintenance Code has a lot of information all about all the different things that a landlord has to do to make sure an apartment is safe and habitable, including conditions in your apartment, including harassment. And to the extent that your landlord is allowing conditions to persist in your apartment for a very long time, that in and of itself can constitute a form of harassment under the Housing Maintenance Code. So if you're living in substandard housing conditions, even if the violations aren't serious or the conditions aren't very serious, but it's the same things that just aren't being fixed, that's no way to live. Go to housing court. You have some recourse. When you go to Queens County Housing Court, you're going to stand on the line and speak to a clerk. You'll tell them that you want to file an HP proceeding because you need repairs made in your apartment. The clerk will know exactly what you're talking about. I think there's even a dedicated line specifically for HP proceedings. Depending on your income, you may be able to have the fee waived that is charged to start the HP proceeding. And if paying the fee is a concern of yours, you should let the clerk know that you'd like for the fee to be waived. So after you file those papers, you're going to go up to the housing court judge who hears HP proceedings, and you're going to sit and wait because they're deciding when you should have a court date. And after they sign the court papers, the judge is going to instruct you to give the court papers to your landlord. There are very specific ways that you have to do this. And if you don't follow the judge's instruction, you could have your case dismissed if your landlord didn't receive the papers properly. So make sure you follow all the instructions and save your proof of whatever the method of service was. It could be mailing, it could be personally serving. So try to have some proof that you did that. And of course, appear on your first court date for your HP proceeding. If there are violations already issued, then that's really good because you can show up on the first court date and ask for your landlord to sign what's called a consent order. A consent order basically means that the landlord agrees that there are some conditions in the apartment that have to be fixed. If they don't agree, then you have to ask the court to order them to correct the HPD violations. That's usually how HP proceedings end up settling, either through a consent order or an order to correct. And you want to follow that process all the way through until all of your repairs are completed. So if after you settle your case, the repairs are not completed, keep going back to court because judges don't like when landlords simply ignore the consent orders or the orders to correct. And with that, I think I'm at time, and we could probably do a 45-minute training on each little bit of this topic, but I hope I was able to give you just enough information to get you going and for you to spread the word to your friends and family members.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. A lot of information there. And please keep in mind that there will be opportunity if you have some questions. I do see a question in the chat. Patricia, I will read this after the DIME presentation, and Tiffany will be able to help you out with an answer there. Also, just keep in mind that we will be sharing all of these resources with you at the webinar, including a link to this presentation. So with that, I would like to introduce our presenter from Dime Community Bank, Catherine Clark, who's the Senior Loan Officer there. With more than 25 years of banking and lending experience, Catherine is dedicated to helping homebuyers become mortgage ready. Catherine believes the American dream of home ownership is extremely important through the home buying process step by step. Catherine's very knowledgeable with the FHA and the Sonyama. S-O-N.
Sony May. I know it looks like Sony
May. Okay, got it. Loans and loans for condos, co-ops, and 1 to 4 family homes. She holds a bachelor's degree in economics from Hunter College and a master's in organizational management from St. Joseph University. I thank you, Catherine, for making time in your schedule to lend your expertise to our viewers tonight. We are incredibly grateful to have such a wealth of knowledge here with us and someone who truly cares about helping to equip our community with the resources to have financial freedom.
Thank you.
No, it's my pleasure. I will turn it over to you.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here, and I thank everyone for joining. I really kind of started this being a loan officer for many reasons because back in the day, I didn't have good credit. I didn't have a lot of money, and it was very difficult for me to get a mortgage, and someone helped me. And so I decided along the way that I wanted to help others. So it's such my pleasure to do what I do. And I hope I'm able to impart some information that maybe someone who's thinking of becoming a homeowner soon or in the near future can use some of the things I said. So I'm going to go over the presentation kind of quickly, and then I'm going to give some points of things that we could do in our everyday life from right now, as soon as we get off this call, to prepare us for that. Okay. So we can move to the next page. So Dime Community Bank, I know a lot of times people go, is Dime still around? There was another Dime that was in Brooklyn that became WAMU that Chase took over. But we are the original Dime. We were Dime of Williamsburg, and now we've changed our name to Dime Community Bank. Next. I think Kendra is off. I think Kendra is frozen. Next, Kendra. So we have branches. Oh, well, the one we skipped, we're from Montauk to Manhattan. That's what we say. We're from way out east all the way through Manhattan. But now we've also gone into Westchester, and we're in the process of going into Jersey. So we're covering a big span of the New York tri-state area. Thank you. So these are the full list of what Dime does, which is pretty much the same as most banks, but we're going to focus today mostly on the mortgages, okay? Next one. We have affordable products. Our mission is to assist the community members achieve their dream of homeownership. And so all of us in the mortgage division, we're all located in New York. From underwriting, processing, loan officers, management team, we're all in New York, which is really good because we understand the New York market very, very well. Sony Mae, which definitely looks like Sony Mom, but it is Sony Mae, that state of New York mortgage agency. This is one of the products that we have. It's usually used by first-time home buyers, and it's for 1 to 4 families, co-ops and condos. We have 30-year fixed. Interest rate is usually lower, and you could combine it with many different down payment assistance programs. There are some HPDs out there. There are different grants out there, and once you're ready, we could tell you what monies is available. Then there's another Fannie Mae Home Ready Mortgage, also another product that's used for first-time home buyers, available for the same type of properties, low down payment, as low as 3% down. And you could have someone co-sign with you who's not going to live in the home. And it also have reduced mortgage insurance coverage. And mortgage insurance is when you put down less than 20%. Next one. And Dime also has an affordable home product where we give $5,500. We have different products for that, fixed and ARM. It's also low down payment, and it can be used with various different grants as well. And that's the same one. That's the 5,500. Okay. And these are the steps you can take for the purchase. It starts with the pre-approval, then it goes to you identifying the property you want, making an offer, the home inspection, signing of the contract, applying for the mortgage, receive your loan approval, which is called a commitment. Co-ops, you have to also apply to the board, you know that, and then the loan closing. Those are kind of the steps in a broad sense. These are the things that we generally will need is your bank statements for a month, the tax return. I know it says 3 years, but normally it's 2. Sony Mae requires 3. And your bank statements for 2 months and the contract of sale. And these are the things you should expect from your lender. We give out a loan estimate within 3 days so that you know an estimate of what the costs are going to be. You get a commitment. That's when your loan is approved. Your appraisal, when they go out to check the value of the home, you get a copy. A title report, we review that to make sure the home has no liens or judgments against it. The closing disclosure, which shows you your final cost, and professional guidance throughout the process. And how to apply, you can definitely go into dime.com, you go to personal, enter mortgages, or you could, and you'll usually see my name there. You could click on apply online with Kathy, and you can submit an application if you want a pre-approval or pre-qualification letter prior to you finding a property. And that's my contact information, Catherine.Clark@dime.com. My phone number, unfortunately, it's not 631. We have to correct that. It's 516-850-9506. So I'll make sure to correct that. So it's a 516 number, okay? It's nuts. And I believe that's the end of that, but I also wanted to add in just a few little points, okay? The home buying process always looks so big if you look at the whole thing at one time. And so what I like to tell people is look at it in small chunks of things that you could do in your everyday life. And there are things that we're doing that can either help us get closer to it or that could move us away. So I'm just going to start with one of the most important thing is your credit report. Most of my clients that come to me do not have any idea what their credit score is, and they don't remember the last time they looked at it. I know a lot of people are fearful, but look at it. That is the starting point. Everyone is entitled to a free credit report every year. There are 3 credit reports that all lenders use. It's TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. We look at the 3, but we don't use all 3. We don't look at the high score. We don't look at the low score. We always look at your middle, whichever that may be. So to start looking at it, that is where everything comes from. Not savings, not the price of everything is credit. There was a time when a 620 was the score we used. No, not anymore. They want upper 6 or 7. So I want people to start look at it, get Credit Karma, put that on your phone, or apply with any of your credit reports or your banking institution. All of them are giving out your scores. Look at those things. And what are you looking for with your credit report? You want to start looking at your balances. Once you start going over 50% of your balance, your credit score starts to go down. So if your limit is 1,000, try not to go over 500 because that is going to keep your credit score up well. Of course, paying it on time. Paying it on time means within 30 days of when it's due. Credit reports are over 30 days late, over 60 or over 90. So try to always make those payments before it goes 30 days overdue. Do not co-sign for anyone. Do not co-sign. If you have co-signed already though, if you've made that and you co-sign, never make a payment. Never make a payment. Always let the person you co-sign for make the payment. If you don't make a payment, we look back 12 months, then we will not count that debt against you. You can write that debt off. Collection accounts, definitely try to settle those accounts. Even though people think that after 7 years they go away, they do not. They will sell them to someone else within the 7 years and it will start over again. So what you want to do is reach out to them and settle it. Okay, get a letter from them that you paid it. If they don't clear it up, you could send it to the credit bureaus and you can get it cleared up. Bankruptcy, after bankruptcy, it's 4 years. So if you do a bankruptcy, it's 4 years before you can apply for a mortgage. There's another thing I know a lot of people think it's good is those companies that help you consolidate your debt. One of the worst things you can do, do not use them. We will totally disregard your mortgage for years and years and years. So don't use them. Try your best to work on it on your own, but definitely don't use them. I know people are tempted to use them, but try not to. When it comes to savings, I do find a lot of people have 401ks with their companies, but they're not utilizing them. So if your company is going to match you like 3%, try to put in 3% because the 401k, you could take money from it and we don't count that as a loan. You could use that and it would work for you. Employment, we're looking for 2 years, 2 years consistent employment. It doesn't mean you have to stay at that job, but consistent, no gaps in employment. We're looking for 2 years of that. And if you were in school, let's say you were in school doing a degree, that counts towards your 2 years of job. So let's say you just graduated as a lawyer or something and you have 1 year of work, we will count that 1 year of school, that school and the work, and put it together and make 2 years. So your job, your work experience definitely counts. And try not to switch from W-2 to self-employed, because now you have to do another 2 years of self-employed to be able to get a loan. Student loans are another big thing we see on the credit report. Student loans, even if they're in deferment, we must count them. We're going to count them at 1%. Or if you can get an income-driven letter, then we're going to use that income-driven letter. So on the student loans, remember that even if it shows 0, we are going to count student loans against you. Another thing we do count, child support. If child support comes up on your credit report or child support is on your paycheck, I'm going to need a letter to show if you're in arrears or what your payments are going to be. We do count that against your debt ratio. And maternity leave, believe it or not, if you're pregnant and you're going out on maternity leave, your loan will be stopped until they know when you are coming back from maternity leave. Believe it or not. So while you're out on maternity leave, you will not be able to close on a loan until you are returning back from maternity leave. So those are some of the things that I just wanted you to keep in mind, that we look for, that you probably didn't know we were going to look for. And throughout your regular everyday, just continue to, watch your credit report, sign up to Credit Karma if you can, and try to reduce your balances. And you'll prepare yourself when you're ready to go. These things will all fall into place. Okay.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Oh my
You're
goodness, so
welcome.
much amazing information. Absolutely appreciate all of the tips. Right now, this is everyone's opportunity to ask your questions. Again, you can type your questions in the chat box, or you can use the little raise hand feature on your bar there in your screen, and I will unmute you so you can ask your question directly. We do have a question in the box from Patricia Washington, who is a realtor and work with a lot of clients that have city FEPS vouchers. It is extremely difficult to find landlords to accept the program, but when we do, many times we lose the landlord because it usually takes 3 to 4 months for the paperwork to be processed. And recently, the 1 month incentive has been discontinued. Many landlords cannot afford to wait 3 to 5 months for the paperwork work process. Are there any plans to cut processing times and more reasonable time frame, especially since the 1 month incentive has been discontinued? Tiffany, I'm not too sure we have expertise in city FEPs, but I will turn it over to you.
Yeah, thanks so much. It's a really great question, and it's an issue that every tenant rights advocate struggles with. So we have lots of clients who qualify for city FEPs, and it would make a huge difference to their life. And they're experiencing exactly what you've described. I this is an HRA thing, so it's a tricky process. It's very time consuming. It requires a lot. And I think that's part of the reason for the delay. I don't know how to fix that, but I do know exactly what you're talking about because we have plenty of tenants and clients of our own who experience that very same thing. And it's very frustrating. It could be very heartbreaking. And I'm so sorry that it's such a widespread issue for tenants.
Thank you. And then we have a question for Catherine from Beverly Phillips. Do you have any advice for a single person to purchase a house with one income?
Absolutely. Start with everything that we just discussed. We don't discriminate if it's one income or two income. Of course, we're living in New York, so we do understand that the prices are crazy. But I'd say if we come with all the basics together, which is credit score good. As far as savings, I know that's a difficult thing, but if you have a 401k on your job or any type of employee match that you can put your monies in, definitely do that. There are definitely grants depending on what your income is. And I'm doing a whole lot of co-ops now. There's a lot of people doing co-ops, which are very affordable, and I use that word very loosely, but they're affordable. And there are some people are just going upstate now. They're going to PA, they're going to Pennsylvania, they're going out to Jersey, not North Jersey, but they're going South Jersey, they're going further up to Connecticut. They're kind of having to leave that New York area for those reasons. But co-ops are good, and condos are a very good option because you can build equity, and then you can sell those, and then you can upgrade to a home, or you can rent those. So those are a lot of options for a single one income. And if you have any questions, please feel free to call me.
Thank you, Catherine. All righty. Do we have any other questions at this time?
You're very welcome, Beverly.
Okay, I don't see any hand raises. Catherine, Tiffany, do you have any last remarks or anything you want to share with anyone this evening?
For me, I want to say, I think everyone who wants to be a homeowner can be a homeowner. I know it kind of looks like it's hard in New York, but you can be. So if anyone wants to reach out to me, I mean, I work with people for 2, 3 years before they get to that point. But anyone who wants to be one, there is an avenue for you to be one.
Awesome.
Yeah, and for me, I would just say, you know, until that point comes, you have a lot of power as a tenant, and you definitely have a lot of power collectively with the other tenants living in your building, if you live in a building, and throughout your entire community. So don't accept substandard housing conditions just because your landlord is blowing you off or ignoring you. Pursue your rights, and you know, I hope that we're able to share more and more detailed information in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tiffany and Catherine. I just want to let everyone know that these are your resources. I will be emailing this presentation along with some valuable information that Catherine shared with us. I'll make sure everyone in this webinar tonight gets a copy of that. But you know, you may have other questions that you run into later on, or other issues or occurrences that happen that you may need help with or have questions about. Please use the info@buj.org email. Submit your questions. Tiffany's here to answer them, and her team is absolutely amazing. And please reach out to Catherine if you have a question about home ownership and what do you need to take if you want her to look at your specific situation. You know, she's here to help. I do see one more question from Monica. Does the same rules go to private home renters? And that's, go ahead, Tiffany.
Yes, absolutely. The only thing is, it's a little tricky because you don't have as many rights as a rent regulated tenant. And so sometimes tenants who live in unregulated apartments or single family homes, and they try to assert their housing rights, they could potentially risk retaliation. So, if you complain to HPD or you try to get repairs made by your landlord, and your landlord turns around in 6 months or less and tries to evict you or does other things that make it clear that really they're acting out against you trying to pursue your rights, that's presumptively retaliation. So if that starts happening to you, document everything that you're experiencing. And if a housing court case is the result of the retaliation, be sure to raise that with the court so that they know what's going on. So it's a complicated answer to a nuanced situation. Everyone has these rights, but some people are more vulnerable than others in asserting them. Really great question. Thank you for asking it.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you all so much. I want to say thank you, Trinice. Please send my many thanks to Fernando and Assemblymember Hooks. Thank you to Councilwoman Dr. Natasha Williams and Joanne for joining this evening. Thank you again, Karina from Dime Community Bank also, and Dime Community Bank. And thank you, Tiffany and Catherine, for sharing your expertise tonight. With that, please do not hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Again, our email address is info@buj.org. If you have specific questions related to your home ownership opportunities, you can also email me there. I'll make sure that message gets to Catherine. I'll be sharing everything after this call. And please, everyone, have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, Kendra.
It's
Thank
my
you.
Thank you.
pleasure.
So
Have
much.
a good
Bye,
evening.
everyone. Have a good evening, everyone.
You too.